good evening.
Good evening, Prof. Good evening and welcome. I know despite your busy and tight schedule, you could make it with us here, which
Thank
is
you.
a wonderful pleasure.
Thank you very much for the great work that you are doing across the world, not just in Africa.
Thank you very much, sir. Wow, you look so smart. I like that. Wow, your outfit is so. Are you going for a party, your birthday
No,
party? I was knowing.
no,
You just up like
no.
this. Okay. Prof, it's a nice day to be with you here. And Prof, once more, congratulations and happy birthday on your belated celebration. I mean, I saw the social media. It seems as if you and Zuckerberg and all these platforms are already having some kind of collaboration, because the way they allow you celebrate you worldwide, I still don't understand that magic. But in any case, we are
God,
wishing you.
grace, God.
Yes, yes. So, how
Okay.
are you doing, Professor? I know you've been very
No,
busy.
we are fine. I think these are important. I think COVID has reawakened us in a very unique way. We now think differently, at least I do. And I know many people are thinking very differently, and I think we are now beginning to realize that the continent of Africa deserves our attention wherever we are, whether we are in the mother continent or we are in the diaspora. The levels of collaboration and coordination are as amazing as they are titillated. And I think that that is a good thing going forward.
Correct. Prof, I would just orientate you. We have just 3 questions for you today because I know your schedule. I mean, I want us to talk about this World Trade Organization nomination that is that just ended, and with this 8 candidates, 3 from Africa, 2 from Europe, Middle East, North America, and Asia, and amongst all the 3 powerful women that were as candidates. And we have Excellency NGOZI Okonjo-Iweala, Amina Mohammed Jibril, a Kenyan, and we have Yo Moon Hei. And among these 3 nominations, I mean, you vetoed for Her Excellency Ngozi Okonjo according or referring it to the credentials. What is it that you think is new in this approach?
First of all, let us begin from recognizing that the World Trade Organization has never been led by an African.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Africa's stand. And it is unfortunate that Africa is presenting 3 candidates. That in itself demonstrates that we are not coordinated.
Mm-hmm.
If we were coordinated, there would only be a single candidate, so that we do not have any of our candidates competing amongst themselves. But we now find ourselves in a situation where we have an Egyptian, we have a Kenyan, and we have a Nigerian competing against others.
Mm-hmm.
My fear is that the votes will be split, and we may have a non-African heading the WTO. I hope that does not happen. But my own decision to endorse Dr. NGOZI is informed by a number of reasons. And there are reasons of fairness and equity, and then reasons of merit. What are the reasons of fairness and equity? Kenya was recently the AU candidate to serve as a non-permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations, and we won against Djibouti, which I think was out of order. Kenya, having been endorsed, ought not to have been opposed by any other African country. So Kenya is serving in that regard. We have our own share. Egypt was the chair of the African Union until February. President Sisi of Egypt was the chair of the African Union. It is only fair that we now have somebody from another country. And that country is Nigeria. And Nigeria has a good candidate. Nigeria has a large population, and that candidate, and I'm now going to the merit. If you are to look at the curricula vitae of all the candidates who are now presented to us and your objective, you would agree with me that Dr. NGOZI IWEALA is heads and shoulders above them. So
Yes.
I've put all those factors into consideration, and I have no apologies to make in saying that NGOZI should be the candidate that should be endorsed to serve as the chair of the director of the WTO. And we ought to be fair. As long as we are not one country or united as we ought to be, when there are things like these, we ought to distribute them. Kenya should be comfortable with membership in the Security Council. Egypt should be comfortable that she served as the chair of the AU. Let us give Nigeria next time round, if there is, and it's also important, we are not saying this, Kenya has recently been appointed in a very senior position in the IMF. So Kenya is doing very well. Let us allow Nigeria this time round. And I'm also saying this aware that the Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkele Mene, who is going to serve from January, is a South African. So South Africa is served, Eastern Africa is served, the Maghreb is served. Let West Africa be served. That is fairness.
Correct.
That is equity.
That is yes, we fully agree with you, Professor. And it also would be a pleasure to have Dr. NGOZI here with us, because a lot of Africans, we've known her to be the chair of the World Bank for a long time. And a lot of Africans are actually not in this connection and contact to even know the kind of leadership position, particularly that our women that we are advocating for. And should it happen, we pray and we hope that it should happen. She is going to be the first Director General since 25 years at this organization. Now, what impact would it be if a woman is sitting there, and particularly an African, and on this board?
What I think, and before I answer your question, the other candidates are also very good candidates. But if Dr. Okonjo were to serve and an Africa were to serve, it means that the African continent would be at the policy-making decision level. And it will come at a time when Africa has also instituted the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which will begin to operate from Accra, Ghana in the year 2021. And I believe, therefore, that when the WTO rules are being formulated and decisions are being made, the presence of an African and a woman who has served as a finance minister in a country as large as Nigeria would help bring the issues that concern Africans at the international table. And that is critical, because you know that when you are not present at the dinner table, then your issues are not considered as seriously as they ought to be considered. And experience has demonstrated, when you have good women in positions of decision making, then there are certain things that happen which are useful to a continent such as ours, which is grappling with critical issues. We are grappling with the first two promises of the Sustainable Development Goal to deal with hunger and poverty. We are grappling with the issues that we have promised ourselves under Africa Agenda 2063. And I have no doubt in my mind that an African leadership in that organization would help mainstream these issues and avoid a situation where we are railroaded into decision-making by European powers and American powers, and of course, the emerging Asian powers such as China and of course, Japan.
Now, we are very happy about this new development, but coming to look at it psychologically and also as a lesson, a mentorship for the entire leadership and way of thinking, mindset of the continent, we are really amazed by this decision you're taking. I mean, in the old way of doing things that we usually see, won't you be saying, oh no, I have to support Amina because she is from Kenya? And I mean, so this mindset of fairness is the new Africa that you are advocating for. And how do you feel about that? Haven't you been having critics?
You know, somebody in Kenya sent me a message and said, but you have a patriotic duty to support somebody from your country. I said that is narrow, jaundiced, and misguided patriotism. When I look at Africa, I look at a continent. I don't see countries. I see an African people, and those people are to be found in geographical entities which were bequeathed to us, named Kenya, named Uganda, named Nigeria. So I don't look at Africa from that jaundiced view. I look at all of them as Africans, and I ask myself, in the scheme of things, holding all factors constant, who is the better African on this occasion? Not to say that the others are not good. So I long liberated myself from the thinking that I'm defined by geography, which was conceived and deployed by European powers in 1884. And going forward, when we talk about African unity, I'm not going to vote for people simply because we come from the same geographical location, because the absurdity of that argument is that if you now go into your own country, you now begin to think of tribes, then you think of clans, and that is the doom of Africa. We must be thinking big. We are thinking about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. How can you think of Lesotho? How can you think of Eswatini? How can you think of Djibouti? Think of Africa. And I think that some of us who have taken this position that we have taken, we must have no apology to make. We must say what we believe and do what we think. And of course, there'll be no shortage of critics. But what is the world without critics? Even in heaven, God is criticized by Satan himself.